And I think I found some things that you're going to be surprised at that you probably didn't know that will be helpful for you as we're heading into our tax season now. If you think that being a parent is the greatest and most important job you're ever going to do, but you also fully understand that it's filled with challenges and headaches too, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Dad's All In podcast. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Dad's All In show. Super excited you're here. Super excited to share some important stuff with you tonight. It's tax season, right? The next couple months is tax season. And although I'm not a tax professional, a tax specialist, an accountant, so if you need specific advice to your individual family, you're going to want to make sure that you check with a local professional on this. What I can do, though, is offer you some things I've looked up in research because I feel like families have been getting the short end of the stick for a while now. I feel like there's not a lot of people out there who are just saying, here, you need this. It's tough being a family. Everything's going up in cost. Here, take this. Have this because your family needs it. We need more of that. So because of that, I thought, you know what? Maybe I can find some almost hidden tax credits for you. And that's what I'm going to share with you tonight. There's some things that you probably already know, but I think I've dug up some stuff that you might not be aware of, and I am excited to share that with you. First off, if you are catching this on the replay, which most people do, shout out to those of you who are live here. If you're catching this on the replay, every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, we always go live. If you're catching the replay, though, and you want to do the timestamps, you can check that down below. I'll always put those in about 24 hours after this processes. So Monday, usually, you'll be able to catch the timestamps so you can skip around to whatever it is that you feel like you need. I want to say it's good to be back. So last week, I took the week off, and we did the Super Bowl thing, and we watched the football game, which, you know, I'm not a Patriots or Seahawks fan, so the game was kind of bland. Commercials were okay. Halftime shows were fine, I guess. But it was nice hanging out with the family, right? And that's kind of what I liked the most about Super Bowl. I mean, obviously, if the Eagles are in, I'm pretty jacked about that. But that didn't happen this year, so I just like to hang out with the family. We cook up some stuff. I'd make cheesesteaks every year, pull together a bunch of other stuff too, right? So it's just fun. So thank you for letting me have the week off. I appreciate that. This week, however, I'm going to take and pause and share with you a proud dad moment. So if you know anything about our family, it's that our kids, they have a wide variety of unique challenges. And I say that as in medical needs, neurodivergent needs, social, emotional, just a ton of different things. So when we have a day when we feel like we win as a family, for whatever reason it is, and it doesn't have to be a big win either, we are more prone to celebrate the mess out of it because we've had a lot of days through the years where we're like, oh, boy, we just take one right hook after another. And so today in particular was a pretty awesome day. My twin daughters are 13 years old, and the one has fallen in love with wrestling, and it has become her biggest passion. And because of it, she is now all in. And she went and did the state tournament today, placed second. She was runner-up, so close to a state championship, but she's got a lot of years ahead of her, which is pretty awesome. I'm proud, that the wins are great, but I'm most proud of how much growth my daughter has made with her just emotional awareness. She used to, and mind you, she was all in on karate for quite a long time too, got her black belt, and now she's kind of transitioned over to wrestling. She used to get just extremely angry if she would lose. And it's completely understandable to be upset when you lose. However, from a father or a mother's standpoint, you want your kids to always have good sporting behavior, whether they win or whether they lose. And I just couldn't be more proud of the way she conducts herself now. And she has come so far. So I wanted to share that. There's some proud dad stuff. So if you're out there and you're like, you're taking a right hook or a left hook for whatever reason with your kids, it happens. It is more common than you probably think. It is really challenging out there to be a parent. That's why you just got to savor those moments when your kids excel. And it doesn't have to be they get a medal or a trophy for it, just something that they do well and succeed in, or something that you know is an important thing for life. Like, for example, being a good sport, or just helping others, or showcasing kindness. Any of that are important skills we just don't share enough about, I think, to be honest with you, as far as the importance meter is considered, I guess. So thank you for giving me a minute to share that. I'm super proud of her. So before I want to jump in today and share with you information on these, I'll call them quote unquote hidden tax credits, I want to let you know, since we've been together on the live show, I've pumped out a bunch of videos, long form videos on YouTube. It's been about utility and energy cost assistance, rent assistance, and I even did one on like an update on stimulus check, on whether or not we could get a stimulus check. So check that out on the YouTube channel. Dad's All In, Parent Resource Hub is the YouTube channel. Check that out there. And you can always catch this live. It will process and it'll be available after the show. And here's the beauty of being here live. You pretty much get a sneak peek of what I'm dropping the following day. So I have a video coming out tomorrow about tax credits. I'm going to be diving into this stuff tonight. So you get a sneak peek at it, but you can always go in and check out the YouTube video that I try to drop. I'm pretty consistently trying to drop them on Monday mornings now. So check that out for sure. And all of that to tell you, this guy, Luke, who's been a longtime listener and has emailed me a ton, dadsallinpodcast@gmail.com, by the way. He sparked something in me I didn't see coming. I know it's been tough for families, and I've been on this bandwagon for a while, but he was like, maybe 5 weeks ago now, sent me an email with, hey, do you have any ideas financially to help families? And so that has he really kind of kicked my resources guide. My resources, just like a part of my brain that I click on when I'm like, I'm going to go hard into this. He ignited that in me. And because of it, I've created all these videos. But the next thing I have also done is I have created an actual booklet on all these things that I'm turning up for families, a PDF booklet. I call it my your family financial guide, like an essential guide. And it dives into, yes, tax credits, the stuff I'm going to go over tonight, but also, rent assistance, mortgage assistance, housing in general. It talks about, cash grants and how families can access that. It talks about utility and energy help, childcare, food assistance, all these things. And inside of this PDF booklet that I have here, which is a live document, which means whenever I update it, you get updated. That's how it works. I'm able to put in there directory information. In other words, not just like, hey, here's something to think about. I'm giving you links to exactly where to go. I'm giving you contact information with emails and phone numbers. What I have learned in the last month and a half now is that in order to get the best assistance possible as a parent, sometimes you got to go a little deeper. You got to figure out the phone number of a contact. And here's a pro tip that I've learned. If you're not sure where to go for assistance, just pick up the phone and dial 211. The vast majority in the parts of our country, if you're looking for housing, rent, mortgage assistance, you're looking for help with your utilities, energy assistance, food assistance, all of that. If you dial 211, you'll get somebody to talk to, and they will be able to tell you about opportunities in your local area. So that's just like a pro tip for you, right? So at any rate, I'm going to talk about tax credits tonight, and that's also in this guide. So if you're here on, whether you be on YouTube or on LinkedIn or Facebook, you can get that link down in the description. I put it there. If you're on the replay, obviously you can get it there as well. If you happen to be over on Instagram, thank you for stopping in. Unfortunately, you'd have to go over to YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook to find it, to grab that link. So in the meantime, I want to go through and share some of these interesting things that I uncovered. And when I say interesting things, I mean, I guess some tax credit ideas that some of which I knew about, but I didn't necessarily know about for some of the deeper ideas of what I'm going to share, okay? So even some of the things that maybe I knew about, there were some pieces of it that I didn't. And I think I found some things that you're going to be surprised at that you probably didn't know that will be helpful for you as we're heading into our tax season now. So the first thing I wanted to share with you, obviously, is that you can grab anything I'm talking about tonight in that family assistance guide. So you can find that down in the description, as I said before. This first one you've probably heard of, but here's the good news. So the child tax credit is no longer $2,000 per qualifying child that's under 17. It's actually $2,200. So that's helpful this year. And it is a non-refundable portion, which is very confusing. I'm going to explain that in a minute, what that actually means, because there's a second part to it that gives you the refunded portion of it. So most people understand like the child tax credit is something we use every year. When you've got kids under 17 years old, they can qualify, and it's been $2,000. It's now $2,200, so that's helpful. So here is the portion that you get refunded. So when I say it's non-refundable, that means that what you do for the child tax credit is you use that amount to get you back to zero. In other words, if you owe $2,200 and you have one child and that's worth $2,200 for that child, that will get you back to even, to zero. However, if you owe, let's say $1,000, well, you would be able to get that $1,000 covered, and then the $1,200 that's left over would be what they call the additional child tax credit. That's the refundable portion. And so the refundable portion is only I shouldn't say only, it isn't $2,200, it's $1,700 per child. So that's a little bit different, and it's super confusing. And the way it's worded, it makes it sound like additional child tax credit, like you've got additional kids, two or three kids. That's not what this is getting at. This is the second portion. So this is the refunded part. So when you get your refund check, this is the part, if you're getting money back because of the child tax credit, this is the part that you're getting. So you're probably well aware of that. Now I want to get into the stuff that's probably hidden and you didn't know about, or maybe you heard about, but you need to be reminded of now that we're getting ready for taxes if you haven't started them already. So the earned income tax credit. So this is not just, if you've heard of this before, it is not just low income families. Most people think that this is just for low income families. There is an income component to this, meaning like that is a qualification standard, but moderate income families can also be qualified for this as well. It depends on the income, and it also depends on the number of children as to how much you will get. The range is pretty drastic. So $650 all the way up to maybe $8,000 for 3 or more children. That's huge. So depending on the income level of your family and also how many kids you have, the earned income tax credit is a real option. And here's the piece that most people don't know. It's also available for state tax credit. Some states, not all, but some states will also offer earned income tax credit at the state level too. So you can get it at the federal level, you can get it at the state level. I did not know that. I only learned that because of research. Remember, I'm not an accountant or a tax professional, so you definitely contact your local professionals, whoever is helping you with your taxes on this, but that was something that I did not know. Here's the next thing. Child and dependent care tax credit. So if you know, hopefully you know, if you have kids, let's say in daycare or paid pre-K programs, you are eligible to get a certain amount back in your refund. But here's something you might not have known. That also can include day summer camps. So if you are sending your kids to summer camp for the day, not necessarily residential, but if it's a day camp, you could also use that as a tax credit as well. You can claim up to $3,000 per child on this, but it also has something to do with your income too. There's a percentage that goes into it. So depending on the level of income, there's a percentage rate that will adjust how much you'll get per child, but it can be up to $3,000 per child, which is pretty stinking amazing. And here's one that I'm not sure many people knew about, period. This is called the credit for other dependents. So we talked about child tax care credit for children up to 17. Well, this is actually for your older kids. So if you've got a son or a daughter who is 18, 19, 20, 21, they're still your dependent because of whatever, they're in college, whatever, you might be eligible to get a tax credit for them up to $500 per dependent. Not a lot of people realize that. Most people think once your child turns 17, there it goes. I just had this discussion with some of the staff at my college where I teach. And we talked about this, like, oh, so my kid's no longer 17. There goes that part of the tax credit. But you can actually, for some families, if your child is older, you can get up to $500 per dependent, depending on your individual situation. And then the last one I want to share with you is the adoption tax credit. And I hope if you're adopting a child, you already knew that you have a variety of expenses that you can get credited for. There's some pieces to this that most people don't realize. Yes, if you've got a child that let's say you worked with an organization to adopt, good for you. I'm glad that you were able to do that. You will be able to get credit for expenses that are involved with that adoption for the qualified adoption expenses. This also has to, and this is one of the pieces that I'm not sure most people realize, this also has to do with if you're adopting your spouse's kids, you might be able to qualify for this too. Meaning those kids and those adoption expenses, you might be able to qualify. The maximum credit is a huge amount. It's over $17,000 per eligible child. It is non-refundable, which means it will bring down the amount that you owe for your taxes. But here's the thing. Let's say, for example, you owe $2,000 and you get a certain amount for this tax credit. It will bring that back down to zero. You won't get an extra bump, meaning like a refunded portion from this, at least this tax credit. However, whatever's left over can be used for years to come, which is amazing. It can be used for up to 5 years. So that is pretty awesome stuff, I think. And the last piece that I'll tell you is that it's not just for adopted kids up to 18 years old. If you have a child with medical needs who cannot care for themselves, or a child with disabilities that is affecting their independent living in some way, you'd have to check on the qualifications for that. But even adults who would fall into the categories of medical needs or disability needs, you might be able to continue to get tax credits for them even once they're into adulthood, which is pretty awesome. That was something I did not know either. I've never had extensive knowledge on like adoption and how all of that works as far as tax credits. But what I can tell you is that I've learned a lot. Through this entire experience, I have learned a ton. And because Luke sent me this email, 5 weeks ago now, I have dove deep into helping you, listeners, viewers, whether you're on the podcast, shout out to those of you who get this every week on the podcast. I appreciate you. Or even if you're a viewer on the live show or the video version, I just appreciate you being here and checking this out. But I've learned a ton through this whole process. And I'm going to continue to do what you want me to do. That is the point of what I do. So I say that because in the comments and the replay, you could also send me an email, dadsallinpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what challenges you face. It could be financial, but it could be a variety of other challenges. I've gotten other people who've emailed me or commented or shot me DMs on social media about certain challenges. Like I had a parent reach out that said, I'm struggling with organization. And you can go to my YouTube channel or you can listen on my podcast, Dad's All In Podcast, and you can find that I've dove into a lot of different pieces about how you can use free tools to help you. Specifically, I dove into how you can use Google Keep, how you can use Google Calendar and link it all with your Google email and really tighten up everything organizationally. So that's just one example. Another one would be, I had a parent reach out to me about they wanted parenting, like coaching, mentorship, and any kind of community, and I found them Hand in Hand Parenting, which is an awesome resource that is free for 3 months. And I've put together a video and some information on that as well. In the comments or by email or on DM, let me know what it is that you and your family are struggling with. And if you pick up the PDF booklet, it's going to shoot you. To get that, you're going to click on the link and it's going to shoot you to a Google form. And on that Google form, it's going to give you an optional question. So you got to put your email in, and then there's an optional item that just says, hey, what are the challenges you and your family face? That's how I generate content for you. So keep that in mind. And the last thing I'm going to say before we get out of here on a Sunday night, so you can go off and start your amazing President's Day week that's coming up, President's Day tomorrow, is that if you haven't already, please subscribe or follow on audio and share it with others. It is important as parents because it's challenging out there. If you find stuff that's helpful, share it with other parents so that they get access to it too. In the meantime, I want to wish you a great week. I hope to see you back here again next week, Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a great one, my friend. Thanks for listening to the show. Be sure to follow me at dadsallinpodcast on all the socials. You can also email me with any questions that you'd like answered on future shows, or just to provide me with feedback or ideas. Feel free to reach out to my email, dadsallinpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Have a great one, my friend.